Okay, so my name's Jeff, and I am doing the Batman Who Laughs, which is written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion the Fourth, drawn in by Jock and Eduardo Rizzo. Colorist, he was Dave Barron and Dave Stewart, and the letterer was Sal Cipriano. Published by DC Comics, obviously, it's Batman. And it's about 230 pages long. This is a compilation. There's actually 7 individual issues per each part of the story. I'll hold up there you go. Well, it's reversed, but you get it. Um, and I just kind of want to dive in. I'm going to explain what happened with each act and kind of give away some of the story, but not too much to where if you want to read it, you won't really know how it ends. So I would say Act 1 itself ends on page 52. That's actually the end of the second issue when it was released as individual copies. And in the first act, you see the main character, Batman, coming to terms with the fact that there are actually 2 additional Batmen loose in Gotham, each from different universes. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the story of the Metal series, the Batman Who Laughs is a Batman who is exposed to the toxin in Joker's heart. When Joker dies, it releases the toxin to his killer, which turns them into the next Joker, uh, which in that particular universe was Batman. So he kind of gets a last laugh. So now he is also Batman, but he has completely disregard of the code of being a superhero. It's the evilest form of Batman you can imagine. Um, but as Batman tries to track them down, it's the Batman Who Laughs. That's what he's called. I'm going to refer to him as BWL from now on because that's a mouthful. Who is doing the hunting and lures our Batman into a trap at Arkham. He makes Batman believe he has murdered the Joker, but in reality, it was just one of the Joker's doubles that he lets get captured from time to time. In addition to this, he is spontaneously murdering any and all Bruce Waynes who have managed to lead happy lives post Batman. After being Batman, something happens, they decide to live happy lives instead. He's doing this because there's something in their blood that's going to allow him to do some diabolical thing to all of Gotham. Now the act ends with the real Joker coming to the Batcave to hide from BWL, but in true Joker fashion, he shoots himself, knowing that the only way to stop him is for Batman to become like him. So when Batman tries to resuscitate him, he gets infected with the Joker toxin. Second half of the book, it just keeps coming. I mean, the entire book is insane, but it keeps coming at you, and so it's following Batman in his crusade to stop the BWL, the Batman Who Laughs, whose plan, it seems, is to poison Gotham, like I was saying, and destroy this Batman's world. He's doing so because he considers this Batman to be the biggest cosmic joke, I guess, of Batman. He considers him to be the worst Batman um, to ever wear the cowl. About midway through, though, we are given an insight into the other Batman. In addition to the Batman Who Laughs, and of course our main Batman, this has got to be like a drinking game where every time I say Batman, everybody takes a shot. But this one is known as the Grim Knight, and so you kind of get a backstory for him. And he is like, imagine the Batman who, as a kid, instead of, cowering down in the alley, he grabs the gun and shoots the guy who killed his parents. So he is a Batman with a code, but a code that's, murder. And he has systematically wiped all of his villains from his universe off the planet. He's just killed everybody. Um, anyway, so he ends up using Wayne Tech to LoJack Gotham and its police force and everything in an effort to gain control of this universe. So, and then he did the same thing with his. So from that point, it kind of cuts back to the story. So this is like a little interlude where it gives a little backstory to the Grim Knight. And it comes back and you see a weary but extremely dangerous Batman. And he's finally succumbing to his injuries that he received from the Joker. And he just slowly descends into madness and becoming more like the Batman Who Laughs. However, through sheer will and love of Alfred, sorry, I have a runny nose, so that might happen a couple more times. He fights the urge to keep his head, so to speak. And so there are some pretty big story piece drops throughout this section. This is the main section too, so a lot happens at once. It's obviously the biggest section, so this is building up to the final point, which this is parts 3 through, I say 5 because of the way 5 ends. So it ends with a huge climax, and that is Batman, who's racing to stop BWL. He realizes the plans for Gotham, and he decides to go through with them. He helps the Batman Who Laughs. He finally crosses over, or so you think. He goes through with the plan and activates the Last Laugh protocol, which you'll read all about. I don't want to go too much into it because it would be a huge explanation, more so than we need, and it kind of ruins the book. And I think that if you really want to read it, just know that it's something that's been in works for a very long time. It's not designed by the Joker. It's been since long before the Joker, but I don't want to ruin it. Anyway, so it seals Gotham off from the rest of the world, and that act ends on like page 154, and that's ish, because when it comes to the graphic novels at a compilation, they put a lot of the big flavor pieces or the cover pieces in, and that's how they kind of separate it and give it, extra stuff when you buy the graphic novel. But anyway, so then you come to the last bit, which is like the final showdown, and Batman, who has finally become the evilest version of himself, or at least the most free version of himself, because he doesn't feel the burden of goodness, I guess. And he's going to fight off with the Batman Who Laughs. There are a couple other big revelations within the book, especially here at the end. There's a very cool twist ending. I was very, very impressed with that. There were quite a few laugh-out-loud moments as I was reading through. I was very impressed with. And I think that if you're an avid comic book fan, you'll probably appreciate them too. But I don't want to spoil the ending. It's fantastic. Absolutely read it if you can. But everything does tie up in the end. So I'll answer a few questions as we go through here. And I think I answered most of them already, but I just want to make sure I double check here. And that's, so the story, it's Batman's story. The goal is to stop the Batman Who Laughs, and all of the conflict within, yes, Act 2 supports all of that. So it's huge, there's a lot that happens, but ultimately it sets the story up for the final stage. In a very, very explosive, awesome way. And I would say, in my opinion, the story has a really solid arc as a story. It is supposed to be kind of a mini-series after the whole the Dark Knight Metal series, which goes into way more of the backstory of the Batman Who Laughs and all of the other Batmen, which it's an amazing read, too, if you get a chance. I mean, really dive into the Metal series and then read the Batman Who Laughs, and you will not be disappointed. But yes, so it gives us a good, solid story arc. There is a beginning, there's an end, but let's say they left it open for potential if they wanted to continue the story afterward, which I like. I always appreciate that. I would say the characters that you see a lot, all of them have a solid basic story. I mean, Batman obviously is going to be your main. He's going to have the best story arc overall. He's going to show his growth as a character, his change, what happens as he kind of succumbs to the darkness, and whether or not he comes out of the darkness. So you get to see more of that as a character. There are a few others, like I said. There's Jim Gordon, Jim Gordon's son, James, and so you get to see more of that as well, and you get to see their kind of growth as characters, both good and bad, both flaws and good traits as well, as they come into play and help them ultimately save the day. Or do they? Just kidding. I don't know. We'll tell you. You'll find out if you read it. It's great. Read it. I promise. Anyway, so I would say that the transitions in comic books to me are always pretty effective. So as you go from one place to the next, it's not like, obviously it's not going to be as cut and dry as like a script for a movie, because it tells you exactly where it is. But they do a really good job here. I mean, it's DC, so I'm not shocked that they are able to pull off really great transitions and kind of show exactly where they are within each book. And they even label them for the most part, but you know exactly what's happening for them, throughout most of the magazine, or the comic book, sorry. Okay. Um, yeah, again, the directional flow. It's a DC comic, so everything is going to be tip top. It's going to be like Marvel. You're going to expect the best, and you're going to get the best usually. And in this instance, it's no different. Everything flows really well. Everything is easy to read. You don't get lost. You don't find yourself wondering where things are, what's happening. Would I recommend? Absolutely. Whether you like comic books or not, as classmates, read it because it gives you an insight into a character that you don't expect, and that's a Joker Batman hybrid. You just don't see that coming, and you don't get to see that often. So read it just for the sheer fact of that. As for my friends, most of us are nerds, so yeah, read it absolutely. I mean, if you like Batman at all, if you like Joker at all, you can appreciate the story for what it is. It's both of them combined, giving you an idea of what kind of creature to expect. Um, a fun fact about the comic: Alfred kicks some serious ass, like bad, and not just random people. A little bit of Batman's butt too. So if you get a chance, like I said, read it. It's worth it. I think you'll definitely appreciate all of the story as a whole, and then obviously do some of the back reading. Do the Metal series as well. It'll be a great read. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Bye.